Good afternoon. Thank you again, Apple and the SAFETY4SEA for having us here. So I'm Allan, and I'll be talking about human performance. I'm from Green-Jakobsen, who focuses more on human performance for the last 23 years. Okay. So what is human performance? People often think of performance just as a final result of work. Well, basically, it's really about the processes. And what do we need? Why do we need to measure it? Well, what gets measured gets managed, isn't it? But there's deeper into it, wherein we should dig deeper into just collecting numbers like KPIs. And we need to transform this information into actionable insights. Now, how we normally measure performance, we have the quantitative measure, wherein traditionally, in the maritime industry, we tend to focus on the KPIs. We have the numbers coming from LTA, PSC results, RightShip, SIRE 2.0 observations, the number of deficiencies, and observations, right? Nothing wrong with that, but we need also to understand why we had those numbers. What led these numbers to be? Now, in order to have a better understanding and complete the picture, we need to understand the reasons behind this. And for example, if we have to dig deeper on what's happening on board, what the crew are experiencing, what they feel, what they think, like for example, what is the degree of psychological safety on board? What about communication on board? Are people collaborating well, or are they passive? Are they intervening? Are they assertive or aggressive? So what about the leaders? Are they giving clear direction to safety? So do they trust each other? Are the leaders listening well? So if we have these two information, we put them together, well, we can what? Probably have a complete picture and be able to move forward in improving performance on board. So we have this data, and we have to understand the insights that bring forward to good performance. Now, let me give you an example. In 2017, one tanker company, they have 70 vessels. They came to us and they presented us the numbers. They said, here's the number. Here's our LTA, and I want you to help us improve our performance. What can we do? So the way we help them, of course, is we gave them a mirror wherein they can self-diagnose. That means the people on board, including the ratings, to the master, wiper, to the chief engineer, everyone on board, they were involved in assessing their safety culture. So safety culture is the way they do things, right? So by having that survey, they become more reflective and more aware about their safety culture. After that, we have prompted them to openly discuss and identify the things that they need to improve. And at the same time, they also have to identify the things that they are doing well. So when they are discussing, we are empowering them to find themselves how they can improve. Instead of telling people what to do and how to do, we help them realize, we help them be empowered so that they find solutions by themselves. And at the same time, we help them develop, or we prompted them to develop actions that will improve their performance. So after a few years of doing this, we found out that they have actually improved their LTA by 42%. So the main thing is that we changed the culture in a way that people are involved. Everyone is assessing their performance or safety culture. We are empowering them. We let them find solutions by themselves and act on it with the help of the short personnel or managers. So if you look at this one, we issue the Safety Delta report on a yearly basis. But if you are going to focus on the safety leadership, specifically on the leader's ability to give clear direction on safety, what we found out here was that in 2018, of course, they are in the critical zone. But what is more important is that the senior officers, they overrated themselves. They thought they were okay. But since the junior officers and the ratings, they were involved in the survey, they found out that the ratings and the junior officers, they perceive it differently. Because of that awareness, increased awareness, we prompted them to discuss, how are you going to deal with this one? So gradually and slowly, they have improved their safety culture. The same is true with their LTA. Now, we know that performance can be influenced by a lot of factors. And by the introduction of the SIRE 2.0, it is defined as the factors that influence the performance of a person doing the task, whether it's physical, organizational, psychological, or social characteristics that affect interaction between the hardware systems, the processes, and other individuals or work teams. However, this can also make things more difficult on board, depending on the situation. So let me focus on the psychological safety as performance influencing factor. What is psychological safety? We've been talking a lot about this, but in a different term, wherein psychological safety is the feeling of the crew or people on board where they have a shared belief that they can safely share ideas, give feedback, raise concerns, ask questions, admit mistakes, or report near misses without the negative consequences. So if you look at the same, if we focus the same company that I was trying to explain a while ago, if you look at this probably in a more simple explanation, it reinforces the findings that better psychological safety on board leads to better task performance and vice versa. Why do we say that? Because we have been following in many years around 340 vessels, and we check and reviewed the data, and we found that as psychological safety increases, performance also improves. So the task reflectivity means here that when people feel safe in speaking up, then they are more engaged in what? During toolbox talk, debriefing, or contributing into what? Getting the results. Well, finally, I would say that humans drive, direct, and decide performance, but they are influenced by many factors. PIFs, well, the thing about them is that they can degrade or enhance human performance. So it's very important then that we have to focus on these factors. The question is, how do we ensure to review how human factors influence our behavior and performance? So this is the tool that we have provided this company wherein there is a continuous improvement cycle. We call it a performance cycle, when the crew are involved, everyone on board are involved in assessing their culture and their performance, and they're also empowered to discuss what they can do, what they can contribute, and develop improvement plans. So moving forward, we at Green-Jakobsen is developing a dashboard wherein we can help clients be able to, of course, compare the data that they have and to get a better understanding, or we call it the insights, in getting decisions and helping and supporting the crew on board. So this is how it looks like. Without getting too much details, one of them is harassment and bullying on board. How do people experience it? What they see, what they feel, what they think, and also the level of psychological safety on board. So with that, I hope I was able to share some of the insights and what we think and what we have experienced so far. Thank you very much.